Hello and welcome to the 18th edition of the Bookbreakrs podcast. With me this week is just Paul on his own. How are you doing?
Very good. Yeah, we're missing my partner in crime.
We're missing Enda this week. He's unable to make it, but he'll be back
He would
next
have
week.
he would have loved this one.
He would have adored this one. We would have needed to do a bumper edition, I think. But yeah, so while Enda's out, myself and Paul, being United fans, are going to talk about United.
No
So
research needed.
no research needed, no agenda needed. We're just going to shoot the breeze a little bit around the whole Solskjaer situation. So just start off, Paul. I suppose maybe it's worth just going back to the beginning. So obviously, Solskjaer, club legend. Um, who'll forget Barcelona '99? He's got the job on a technicality, probably he's got it. He was available and he's a former club legend, so he got the job on a technicality. Um, should he have got it? He was brought in temporarily and then had a good run, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to the very start of that whole process, I don't know if it was Fergie who suggested him on a part-time basis. I know he worked like with I think it might have been the under-23s or the reserves at United before he went to mold
Well, he's two Premier League titles with the under
with the
21s.
has he? Yeah,
Yeah,
he's won something then.
yeah,
He did win a couple of league titles with Mull. I think we're talking about stuff that doesn't qualify you to be the United
yeah,
manager, though, really, aren't we? And that was the crux of it. But I mean, the the thing, I suppose, at the time with Mourinho, there was certainly it was starting to take a little bit of a nosedive, or certainly the atmosphere around the club was. I mean, in hindsight, I think it was Paul Pogba got a lot of the blame for it, and clearly there was a bit of a falling out between the two, or a difference of opinions. Kind of both big characters, and I think Mourinho might be I suppose in many ways he can be considered a dinosaur of a manager, in that
yeah,
it's his way or the highway. I think his man management skills might not be um 2020 2021 standard, really.
yeah,
Football has moved on a bit.
yeah,
So I mean, I think Solskjaer coming in with his, chirpy demeanor, and I don't know, maybe like he had nothing to lose really at that time. It was all the rhetoric around Mourinho was, kind of park the bus, dire style of football, and
yeah,
Solskjaer just came in and said, "We attack, we attack, we attack."
yeah.
You
We're
know,
Man
and
United, all that kind
yeah,
of stuff. Yeah,
and that did work for him, to be fair. And if I'm honest, in hindsight, I think I remember you and I were at a United game, actually, and we were singing the old lollies at the wheel, and I can't remember exactly who it was, but I think it was the one where Mkhitaryan playing there, where he scored the little scorpion kick. Was I at that game with you? Anyway, it was
yeah,
it was around it was
yeah,
around that
yeah,
time. But
yeah.
yeah, I think we all got.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, right? So atmosphere terrible, almost toxic, you would say, probably in the dressing room.
Yeah,
Pogba and Mourinho having goes at each other on social media, that kind of thing. Solskjaer comes in. I think he had a 10-game streak or something where like we won or were unbeaten. But then we went to Paris in the Champions League, beat PSG, who were supposed to thump us. And we were
yeah.
missing players and everything. I remember Rashford scored a few goals, I think. And then it was like, right, just how much do you want? How long do you want? Those were the vibes going around. So, he got the job anyway. And I think every United fan was probably happy that he got it and were willing to
Yeah,
give him a fair
I,
shot.
I think I was as well. If I'm honest, I mean, I'm not now, and haven't been for quite a while. But it's everyone got caught up in the moment, and I think it was probably one of those situations with the United board, say the Glazers and Woodward, and where they saw it as an easy out. This is an easy win for us here, lads. The fans want them. He's going to cost us very little. Let's appoint him. Let's give him a contract. Now that's all well and good. Probably a little bit like the Ronaldo thing this summer.
And
it
then
was good.
if it all goes to crap,
where it is heading,
he's an easy scapegoat. Like, they probably had that in the back of their minds, like 12 months. If it doesn't work out, we'll let him go and we'll start again. But
yeah, but now is the time where I think we're heading into darker territory, because they gave him a new contract in the summer, which I found very, very bizarre. I mean, they talk about progress, and United have been making progress. Have they really been making sufficient progress for the money that's been spent? And have we been getting closer to winning trophies? I mean, Europa League final, that was awful. I mean, as I said at the time, the only thing probably more embarrassing than actually winning the Europa League final was not winning the Europa League
we'll
final.
Be losing it. Yeah. Now, I'm going to kind of stand up from here a little bit, because I felt we were sort of probably slower than I wanted, but we were making gradual progress. And what I was pinning my hopes on was this amazing away record. And in my head at the start of the season, I was thinking, right, okay, we've sorted away form, right? Now, when the fans come back, we'll sort the home form. We're going to win the league. We're going to win the league, and then we signed Sancho, and I was getting all carried away, to be fair. And it stalled, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. And I mean, if we look back to our pre-season podcast, I did say then we shouldn't get carried away, because I don't ever see that man winning a trophy with United. I think, unfortunately, like, don't get me wrong, I'm a United fan. I'd love to see him win trophies. I'd love to see him be an incredibly successful manager, but I just don't see it happening. And I think it's a little bit disturbing that I know Mike Phelan signed a new contract this week. Just talk about Michael Carrick and Kieran McKenna signing new contracts, which leads me to think that there's no immediate panic amongst the board when it comes to the manager now.
Yeah, but is that a good thing? Maybe, regardless, because could you keep those guys on regardless if someone else come in and keep some stability?
Well, you could, but ultimately, every manager who goes to a club wants to bring his own backroom staff. You saw that with Moyes. Moyes got rid of a lot of them, which in Moyes' case, I think is what probably cost him at his job at United. Ultimately, I think there was no continuity there. He just went for a clean slate. Fergie's gone. This is my way, and it didn't work for him. I think you've got Mourinho brings his backroom staff wherever he goes, and Ancelotti brings his. All these top managers have guys that they trust and then work with over the years. Very rarely, you couldn't see, I don't know, a Zidane coming in and saying, right, I'm going to keep Mike Phelan and Michael Carrick and Kieran McKenna, and it's just not going to happen. So I mean,
he's lasted a long time, Mike Phelan, and
I think there's no doubt
he is a guy who probably has a role there regardless of who comes in, because it's such a big club and you just have to find your way, find your feet.
Because I don't really know. I don't know how it works from club to club, and I certainly don't know how it works at United as to who appoints academy managers and under 23 managers and reserve manager. I don't know if that's something that the board decide, but yeah, Mike Phelan, I've nothing against Mike Phelan at all. Like, I think Fergie trusted him. He got a bit of a shout at Hull and didn't work out for him, but it rarely does. I think you don't see very many coaches go on to become good man. Historically, the McLarens and Carlos Queiroz, and there is a few. They're mostly continental ones, though, if truth be told. I think
look at what's going wrong. Like
Well,
is it
look,
two or three things that could be fixed, or is it just not happening?
no, I don't believe like there's a lot of talk about personnel, and I'm look, I still think we're weak in midfield, but I don't think McTominay and Fred are a good partnership. I don't think they offer anything substantial to that team. But ultimately, like you watch United, I watch United, and it's it's a lack of, I think, tactical awareness and the ability to change tactics mid game. I think that's that's the sign of like a proper coach or a proper manager. Maybe his problem is that his coaches aren't as good. I think when he came in, he said that
Yeah.
he wasn't I can't remember the exact line, but he wasn't going to be coaching the players or something like that. He had coaches for that. He was more a man manager. Listen, maybe that's his forte. Maybe his coaches are the problem, but I don't
Well,
see.
in the last few games, there's been a clear, from what I've seen anyway, there's been a clear lack of cohesion when you move from winning the ball back and then starting to attack. The attack just seems to be, each player just seems to be making up the next pass. There doesn't seem to be a method to what they're doing. And
But
there
the
seems to be a reliance on individuals to do something, but actually there's just no cohesion. Um, and that's worrying for me. Like that's where I've really sat back now lately and thought, okay, like it's not moving on. It's actually getting worse, and fans coming back in hasn't fixed the home problem. In fact, it's actually exacerbated the problem that existed, because it's
mm,
still at home where we're losing points. Villa, West Ham. Um,
why is that? I can't quite get my head around why that is. I mean, for years we were so dominant at Old Trafford. And I
yeah,
mean,
but that's because I think the players don't have confidence, right? And they put this. Maybe it goes back to that point around cohesion. The the tactics that Solskjaer is trying to instill, maybe the players feel like they can't execute them, or they're not executable, or maybe they're not buying into what he's doing. And then if you put 80,000 people around you watching you trying to execute that, if you don't have confidence in it, you're just going to end up with this sort of passing back and forth, but not really doing anything.
but
Um,
this has been going on for quite a while now. I mean, can you honestly say that you've watched a United game where huge tactical changes have been made? We've tried something that you can clearly see has changed on the pitch, other than sticking Pogba out on the wing instead of Rashford, or there isn't any of that. I think that's been leveled at him quite a bit in the last
yeah,
couple of years. That
no,
there is
it's
there's I'm not sure there's a plan A, never mind a plan
yeah.
B. I think what you're saying is probably right. We have a lot of very talented players. There's
Squad wise, there's no excuse.
I
Like,
think this is the best squad we've had.
but
I
like
mean, I'm
compared the
going back.
squad with anyone, compared the squad with Liverpool or City or whatever, man for man, we should be nip and tuck with those guys.
I
Uh,
suppose like this is the irony. We are.
well, we are
We
now,
are.
but like after what,
Yeah,
six,
yeah.
seven games. But like if you look beyond the table to the performances, we're
Yeah,
miles
we,
off.
we are. We're way off where we
But
should be with those players.
the thing about it is, and another thing that points, I'm afraid, to you know back to Solskjaer, is it seems like his preferred method last season was sort of counter-attacking, you know, sitting in like maybe without the ball and then breaking and trying to win games like that. And he got stick for that in the media. So he's come out this season now and it's like more, oh yeah, we want to, you know, play more possession type football or kind of dominate the ball a little bit more. But it seems like he didn't have the courage of his convictions to execute the plan that he wanted to execute. So he's sort of
Mm.
being led by media and social media. And that happened again last week, right? So they were dire against Villarreal, right? Shocking, right? And then the next game, all the changes that people were talking about on Twitter, right? Like Twitter is basically, you've got the manager, the coach, and then you've got the other coach who is basically all these people on
Twitterati, yeah.
the Twitterati, right? And everyone is talking about, right, he you can't play Bruno and Pogba, right? What other change did he make? You can't play Fred and McTominay. And is Ronaldo having too much of an influence? Is he, and so what did he do? Dropped Pogba, dropped Fred, and dropped Ronaldo, which were the three obvious things to do if you were on Twitter.
Yeah.
And that really worried me because I was watching the game going, is he just bending to pressure now, or is this what he actually wants to do?
Well, if he is, then he really does need to go, because if it's that easy to sway a manager's opinion, I mean, none of the big managers in current times or recent history, or nobody would bend to pressure like that.
Yeah.
And if that really is the case, and it's, I didn't realize that until you said it, but actually, yeah, that could well be the case. I think the biggest problem for him is actually Ronaldo.
Yeah, and he got destroyed. Then apparently Ferguson said something.
I actually seen that today. That it was he was having a conversation with Khabib. I can't even pronounce his second name, Nurmagomedov or something.
Yeah.
But I actually seen that video today, and it was exactly as had been reported on Twitter.
So for people who didn't see that, Ferguson basically said you should start your best players. And
did he always start his best players? It's,
well, I mean, with Ronaldo,
easy to say, isn't it?
Exactly, it is. But with Ronaldo, you probably want to start him, take him off, rather than bring him on.
Yeah, he's not an impact substitute, really, is he?
Well,
I think that's a role that Cavani could play very well for United.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it the other way around if Martial was bang on form and if Cavani was on a run of 6 goals in 6 games. But like, he dropped Ronaldo, who was in form, for players who are completely out of form. I mean, again, it just doesn't add up,
No, there's so much about him that doesn't add up. And I actually realized today he is now the manager who has spent the most ever in charge of a team without winning a trophy. He is, I think, I was gobsmacked to read that he's just overtaken Pochettino at Spurs. Pochettino spent 400 and I think it was nearly 440 million at Spurs. I have no idea who he spent that on.
I mean, that's probably one stat where I probably wouldn't be too hard on him, because the inflation with transfer values and even between now and 4 years ago, like, stuff has just got completely bananas, right?
But he has been given every support.
He's been backed, unlike probably Moyes and maybe some others. Like, but okay, so we had Moyes, we had Van Gaal, we had Mourinho. Should we get rid of him? And if we do, who's out there?
No doubt in my mind, we should get rid of him. No doubt in my mind.
Now or Christmas?
No, now. I mean, for me, a year and a half, 2 years ago, a year and a half, maybe. I think the writing was on the wall very early with him. Very early. I think he continually playing players out of position. I think what's going to be really interesting to see is, I know Rashford is back. He played reserve or under 23, or maybe the reserves are the under 23s these days.
And he's on form apparently.
Look, I'm not his biggest fan. He's underperformed massively over the last few years. From he's not kicked on to what he could have been. I don't think he's going to have a major impact when he comes back in. But Solskjaer has a major decision to make, because if he's now going to play Rashford on the left with Ronaldo or Cavani through the middle, Greenwood or Sancho on the right, Bruno will be playing. That means that he is either going to have to change from his Mac-Fred duo to accommodate Pogba, or Pogba doesn't play.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think you're going to see Pogba on the left if Rashford is fit. Especially like if Rashford comes back with any sort of form, you would be putting a square peg in a round hole
Yeah.
by playing Pogba out there. I think it worked for a while Rashford was out, but I've not seen anything from any United manager since Rashford came on the scene to think that he would be left out, despite me personally thinking he should be left out.
Yeah, but he's a player who comes in to a position which isn't sort of one of the problem areas. Like you could see
but
Rashford starting and maybe swapping with Martial or Sancho or whatever, but it's that middle piece. And like one of the things people keep saying is at home, don't play Fred and McTominay. Like just go with a more attacking approach with one defensive midfielder.
Exactly, and that's the issue, you see, because he's never changed from this two sitting midfielders policy, and
I mean, against Villarreal, he tried to, and we got. I mean, I've never seen such a shocking performance. They probably should have beat us about 6-2.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, we were so lucky to be in it at half time. I mean, if they could finish, we would have been finished. But if you this goes back to his inability to change things tactically. If you've played a rigid 4-2-3-1 system for 2.5 years, you can't suddenly change it to something that you've never done.
Yeah.
And expect, no matter how good the players are, it's a system that they've been used to.
Yeah, but the other point then around this is when Tuchel and Klopp shuffle their decks and move players around in different positions. I think Odoi started in the center recently, if I'm not mistaken, but they still get results because the players go out and they're very clear on what their job is and what they have to do.
Because they've been coached properly, though.
But they've been coached properly, but I think there's a respect there. I feel like Solskjaer maybe doesn't get the respect from the big players because he's just, maybe they just view him as not being entitled to that job or not being good enough.
Yeah, but but you're absolutely right, because if you think about any industry, any line of business, if somebody comes in as a manager in whatever your job may be, who really has no right to be in charge of you, has no experience that warrants them being in charge of you, they would then have to very quickly earn respect. And I don't think he's done anything to earn the respect of players.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Ever since he's come in, every second week in the news, it's where's Pogba going this week, and that's a sign. Like this is him coming off the back of winning the World Cup, and he's talking to his agent is he obviously feels he's not going to win stuff at United, so they keep putting these stories out of go to PSG, go to Juventus, go to Real Madrid, whatever. That's a sign that player thinks he's not going to win stuff, and all these top guys want to win leagues and like trophies. So that's another reason probably why Solskjaer may need to exit the building.
Well, put it this way, right? Look at Harry Maguire, for example. United and City were both in for him. If Man City had bid the same amount as United bid, would he pick United over City? I don't think he would, because he knows he's going to win trophies at City. Yeah. I believe we have the financial clout to go after the top players, but I think only if we're not up against another top side who are willing to match the bids. Nobody else was in for Sancho.
Yeah.
I think the Ronaldo thing, you could kind of put that to one side because there was a history there. And I don't think City were willing to pay the money that, I mean, God knows how much we're actually paying them. But
like I've been saying to a few people, the signing of the summer could have been Rafa at Everton. Like they got a point against us the last day.
He's a manager with a pedigree.
Yeah, exactly.
He's done it.
He's gone into that squad, which is, it's a decent squad, I think, by Everton standards down the years. But he's organized them. He's tactically on point in most games. He gets the most out of them. He's got the likes of Townsend and Gray, like literally running out of their skin, you know. So um, yeah, there's a lot of things pointing to Ole his time running out, you know.
I definitely think it is, but like I said, I'm concerned about these new contracts that the coaching staff have been offered, because that leads me to think that, frighteningly, that it's not something the board are considering. I'm absolutely convinced that if he stays, we won't win anything this season. I don't believe it's a situation like we had with Ferguson, where he had a slow start at United and it took 4 years or something to win trophy. But there were different managers and different squads. I mean,
but to be fair,
United,
like Ferguson rebuilt 3 or 4 squads, so he started again, but there was always a level of continuity there, and we were probably spoiled for years and years. But what you don't get with Solskjaer is, like, in the Fergie era, it'd be 12, 14 game unbeaten run, get beaten, hairdryer comes out, another 12 game unbeaten run. That's what we were used to. Now it's like every 5, 6 games we lose.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
just no consistency.
No, there isn't, but I do believe we've some inconsistent players as well. Now, whether those players, like, I find Bruno Fernandes, I do think he's overhyped. He's a good player, but if you watch, I've almost got this obsession with it. If I'll pick a particular player who's annoyed me over a period of time. It's sometimes it's Rashford, sometimes it's Fred, sometimes it's Bruno, and I'll watch them throughout a game very intently. And if you do that with Bruno Fernandes, you will see the amount of times that he gives the ball away. It's frightening.
Yeah.
It's absolutely frightening. He consistently goes for the Hollywood pass, which isn't the best option at times. I think Pogba, to a degree, does it, but I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as him. So I think we've inconsistent players.
Who did that under Fergie and was coached out of it?
What the Hollywood pass?
Hollywood's.
Well, Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Ronaldo is the prime example of how, like, can you honestly see Mason Greenwood progressing to a world-class level under Solskjaer? Because I mean, I don't, and I think, at least, I had a,
he might do it. He might do it despite him.
He might.
If we're lucky.
Greenwood, to me, seems like the sort of player that just from his demeanor that probably needs an arm around him and needs a bit of coaching. But I think he could be phenomenal. I watch him playing, and I think, like, when I was in the pub on Saturday, there was people slagging him off. And are you absolutely out of your mind? This kid could be something really, really special. But I just, it's not good for him to be playing in that team with that particular style of football.
I'm going to throw something at you, right? When Maguire's another part of the puzzle here, when he plays, we do a lot better. We win more, we lose less, whatever way you want to look at it. With Ronaldo in the team, like, he won't settle for Pogba sulking or Bruno kind of shouting and screaming, all that kind of stuff. Like, I think he will, over time, instill a standard within the team. If you get a run of games with Maguire in the team and Ronaldo, and naturally, as the season progresses, you'd imagine there should be some level of improvement. Like, you potentially could see a scenario where we're doing well and we're up there, but long term.
No, I don't even see the short term.
Yeah.
I think you will see by Christmas we'll be out of it. There's the possibility that by the end of November, with the run of games that United have coming up, it might be something that the board cannot avoid. Is the question about whether he should be the manager. I really see us losing probably three to 4 games in the next, out of the next.
It'll hinge. It'll hinge on this. It'll hinge on this one.
But he is an incredibly lucky manager, And every time he's needed a result, he's somehow got one, which would lead you to think that the players are still playing for him. So
Or
he's
are they, having it easy, and then when they need to pull out a result, they do, but then it's sort of back to easy street again.
well, I
Like
had this
not,
conversation with somebody recently about how United always seem to turn up for the big games, but you need if you need motivation for a derby against City, or to play Liverpool, or to play in a Champions League quarter final in Paris, or last 16 or whatever it was in Paris, that's if you need motivation for that, then you probably would never have made it to that level in football anyway. But what you need to motivate players for is for the games that they're expected to win, where they're 90% focused, and they're taking it as a bit of a guaranteed 3 points. They're the games that Man City are a prime example of that. They're up for every game.
and he's always up for that. But you're right; they're the games that United always won under Ferguson. He would go away to Burnley and get the job done or whatever.
That's the easy part of management. Like, the easy part is the big games, because the players don't need motivation. Everybody knows how Man City play and Liverpool play, because everyone watches them. Footballers watch other football games. But if I were asked what way would say Watford play, what's their style of football? How would you play against Watford? We wouldn't know, because we don't watch Watford. And that's where the coaching staff and the manager come in, and they prep the players for these smaller games against teams that they should be beating, and they motivate them to go out and do it. And that's the thing I think was most evident with him, is that he's obviously not doing that to the standard that the Peps and the Klopps are doing.
The other factor then, and we'll leave it here, but has he mismanaged the Sancho integration? Like, if you spend that money on a player, surely you're looking to build a team around him to a certain extent.
It's a bit of a strange one, really, because
I thought he played really well, Paul, the last time. He came on, and I think he really probed and tried to do something, just didn't.
He looks like a good player. You can see, when a player has the ball, you can see what he's trying to do with it. He's got a good touch. He's got good vision from what I've seen from him. But this goes back to the conversation that we had prior to Sancho coming in the first place, when we were being linked with him. I never thought we needed him. We have signed in the last probably 12 to 18 months, we signed Amad Diallo, right winger. We signed that Facundo Palestri, right winger. They were supposed to be the options with Greenwood.
And if you look,
we spent a lot of money on Diallo, by the way. I know he's injured at the moment.
Yeah, if you look at Liverpool, right, like, every team doesn't have 11 worldies in it, right? Like, they play games where they have like Curtis Jones and Harvey
James
Elliott.
Milner.
Yeah, Harvey Elliott was coming on the scene now. I think he's a good player, but at this stage he's a 7 or 8. James Milner plays like when they rotate. We could easily, to your point, have kept Daniel James. You've got Martial, you've got Rashford, you've backup in these areas, Diallo, as you're saying. Yeah, we probably didn't need him, but now that we have him and he is a good player, surely you need to get him in the team and make sure that he.
Yeah, but the problem is for Sancho is that I think, and I think Solskjaer thinks, that Greenwood is virtually undroppable in that position, because I think he offers so much more.
But he's a striker himself, so he probably just loves him,
Yeah, but I mean, I really, really do think there's a lot to love about Greenwood. I mean, I might be, I don't know. I don't think I'm over egging it. I do think he's an absolutely world class player in the making. Yeah, he does everything so well. He's really good at running at players. He's got he cutting in onto that left foot, and I think that's probably why he's in that team ahead of Sancho. But I could see this. We discussed this. How did he not see this? Solskjaer, how did he not see that he was spending 70-something million on a player that probably wasn't going to be good enough to oust Greenwood from the team.
Yeah.
I don't know. It stinks of bad management.
Yeah, like long-term Greenwood will probably play down the middle. Like Sancho isn't, he'd probably be feeding him. But
We had this conversation about Rashford previously. Long term, is he a striker? I don't believe Greenwood is a striker. I don't
really,
believe he will. Yeah, I don't really believe he will progress into that position because he'd have to bulk up significantly. It doesn't look to me, he really reminds me of Van Persie in so many ways. And I know Van Persie played as a number 9, but it was with a number 10.
Yeah.
As in like a second striker
he
for the
needs
most
to
part.
he needs to learn how to be the main striker, but I absolutely think that he is so clinical that having him anywhere other than around the box, spearheading the attack, would be a waste. Like, yes, he's got pace and all that, but we've too many other options wide to use him there.
Yeah, I think probably he's going to be learning off two of the probably all-time best strikers in Cavani and Ronaldo. So he can only improve, like playing alongside them week in, week out, and training with them every day. I still see the Sancho problem, and I think it's a significant problem for Solskjaer. I'm surprised he doesn't. Maybe he did it the last day. I think he played. They were switching a lot actually, Greenwood and Sancho. I think maybe give Sancho a go on the left. He's certainly a more promising player, I think, from what I've seen than I've seen from Rashford in the last couple of years. So
cool. All right, Paul.
Yeah.
Let's quickly look at what's that thing? Oh, the app.
It's some sort of an app, isn't it?
Yeah.
Somehow related to this podcast.
It's a bit silly, but so the Bookbreakrs app, we'll quickly touch on it. So football predictions platform. We offer football prediction competitions. So what you're looking at here is the NAP competition. Each week we have a weekly competition. We've got a monthly competition, and that all rolls up to the season competition. It's based on 6 predictions every week, your banker, and your 5 naps. So like your top 6 picks of the week. So that's ongoing at the minute. Like, as I said, at the start of every week and every month, everyone is reset and you can go again. So if you haven't already started playing, feel free to jump on and start. So here they are, the weekly, monthly, and season-long competition. We also have an all predictions competition. So this is basically bankers, naps, and all your standard predictions. That's a season-long competition as well, £1,000 in the pot. And then we have the banker competition, season-long again, and this is just your banker prediction every week. So as you can see here, we still have a lot of people on 100%, so fair play to them. We'll see what that's like by the end of the season. I'll quickly touch on private leagues as well. So we recently ran a private league with a large Everton account on Instagram. So the competition was based on the Premier League, and I've ran for the first 7 rounds. So this is another way for you to play and to win. So you can set up a private league with your friends. You can play for fun, or you can add a side pot so people can pay in and you just manage it between yourselves. You can add a charity to it. So for example, if let's say you've got 10 people in your private league and it's 10 quid a man, so you have 100 quid in the pot, you can allocate 50% of that to a charity. Or if you're in a local football team and you want a new set of jerseys or something, set up a private league, add an entry fee, recruit people into your private league, and then you can have prizes for the winners and raise some money for your club. The good thing with private leagues is they're fully customizable, so you can run them for as long or as short as you want. You decide which competitions are in or out, so you can do Premier League and Champions League or whatever. And it's a lot of fun. So we'll leave it there on the app side of things. Paul, do you want to close out? Give us your closing comments. Is it the P45?
It should be, yeah. Will it be? Don't know. I suspect that the next 6 weeks will see United drop out of the Champions League. I'm not sure. I think Atlanta will be a tough. Atlanta home and away will be 2 tough games for him. That could define him as a United manager. If they fail to qualify from the Champions League group again this year, it's unforgivable with the backing he's had. I think the next few games will see us drop out of realistic title contention. I don't know. I mean, the writing's on the wall as far as I'm concerned, but
Yeah, it's a big month.
I don't make the big calls there.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you should.
Oh, I've said it for years, man. I should make all the big calls, not just in football, in life.
Yeah,
there will come a day when I rule the world, and there'll be changes made.
Lots of changes. Yeah, I mean, I think the one positive, I hope he does well. I hope he gets over this period and the team pushes on. But I think if he is to go, I think it could be a similar situation to the Chelsea situation. So Frank Lampard had a squad there, an amazing squad. Tuchel came in and very quickly was able to do something with that squad. I think it would be something similar with United if they were to get their hands on a world-class manager.
And I find that to be the most frustrating thing at the moment is that you leave it till we're out of the Champions League. You leave it till we're too far behind in the title race for it to make a difference. I think.
And it's going to be such a tight title race.
The
sooner you act, the better, probably.
They'll all. I see the top 4 all taking points off each other this season. I think City are starting to look a little bit better than I thought they would. I mean, you look at it and think if they had signed Harry Kane, well, the Harry Kane from last season who can score 25 goals, the Harry Kane from this season, I think his head's elsewhere. But we'll see.
Cool.
We'll see.
All right, Paul, we shall leave it there. Thanks for your inputs on it.
Enda would have loved it. Oh, we'd never have got him.
Enda would have loved it. I think we did him proud.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we did.
I think he'd be listening.
Sure, he's going to have plenty of comments for us.
He'd be listening to this later with his pipe and his slippers.
In the car of knowledge.
In the car.
Outside the local church, because it's got the best Wi-Fi in the town.
Yeah, the car of knowledge is just a temporary thing. He doesn't, just for our 31 subscribers, he doesn't sleep in it or anything. So, all right, let's leave it there, Paul. Thanks. We'll chat to you again next week. All right.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Cheers.